Hello, this is Sim, and welcome to my rant review. I'm going to be reviewing the Smurfs A Christmas Carol. I think that's what it's called. Smurfs A Christmas Carol, I think is the name. I watched it on TV, because I'm interested in everything that's made for kids and all that, especially Christmas specials. I like to analyse them and review them. And so I've heard that, and I thought, oh, this looks like it's going to be gloriously bad. So I decided to watch it. I recorded and watched it over Christmas, and it was worse than I expected. It really was. I mean, I expected it to be cheesy and bland and pandering, but I never expected it to be so insulting to the original story. And the Smurfs franchise, to be honest, because it did a lot of neglectful things of the storyline. It changed the whole thing to try and make it Smurf related, but it somehow, I don't know how you do it, but it managed to lose the whole point of the story of Christmas Carol and give a totally wrong moral. So in several ways, and you know what I think about bad morals. Well, I guess you might not, considering that I haven't got very many reviews on my channel anymore, considering I had them deleted. I've lost them. But, so I've had to start again with a lot of my reviews, but if you know my previous reviews before I deleted them, then you'd know that I hate things that are morally wrong in a kids show. Things when they get the morals wrong, it really pees me off. And there's not a better example than this to prove my point. Wow, I was raging hard when I finished watching this. It's baffling how badly they ruined the moral of this. You'd think the moral of A Christmas Carol was clear enough, yet somehow the writers of this didn't understand the concept. So let's start from the beginning. For a start, it starts off in that horrible, ugly 3D effect, which looks like a 3D version of when your child draws your eyeballs too detailed and it creeps you out. On top, try to draw detailed eyeballs on a simple body when they're doing art. Have you ever seen that when a kid does that with all the eyelashes and the iris, and it's got strangely high detail on the eyes and nothing else because they don't know how to draw anything else but the eyes? Yeah, that it's like that but in 3D. So it's really damn creepy. This 3D Smurfs. It's the same Smurfs as from the movie, the Smurfs movie that came out relatively recently, and maybe several years ago now, I don't know, but yeah, so it starts off with that, and I was like, yeah, that's what I expected. But one thing that does annoy me is the fact that the whole Smurfs movie was done in the real world with the 3D Smurfs in it, and this whole special has been done inside the Smurf village. Just proving that they could have done that for the movie, but they chose not to, which is really annoying. But that isn't really anything to do with the special itself. Then, excuse me, I just had burps. No. But, where was I? I have to cut this out. Oh yeah, it starts off the special with showing them all getting ready with all the lights everywhere and all that, and you're there thinking, well, yeah, okay, yeah, that's reasonable. I mean, don't really know why Smurfs would be celebrating this kind of thing. It doesn't really explain it or Smurfify it, but there you go. It just does it. So then they're celebrating Christmas and getting everything ready, and everybody's house is decorated except for one, and everyone goes, yeah, typical over-dramatic response that they do in these things. So they go over to find out who it is, and of course it's the grumpy one. I think he's called Grouchy in this, but I just call him Grumpy because it pretty much is just the same concept as the Grumpy from Care Bears. So I'm going to call him Grumpy throughout this, and sorry if that's not his name, but meh. So Grumpy comes out of his house, and when they come and visit him, and they say, why have your house not decorated? And he says, because I don't want to decorate it. I don't like decorations, I don't like Christmas. And he slams his door and everything, and everyone goes, oh no, he doesn't want to celebrate Christmas. And now I'm here thinking, well, his whole character is that he's grouchy. He's meant to be like that. He's like that every day of the year. So why is it suddenly a massive shock when he's like that on Christmas Day? I don't understand that. And then it actually points it out. It actually points out their own flaw. One of the characters goes, I know he's grouchy, but he's being especially grouchy today. I'm like, well, that's what you want? You wanted? That's the way he is? And I thought the whole point of Christmas was that you're supposed to celebrate the people that you love and the things that you love about them. And since he's always grumpy, isn't that a good thing? So I'm sort of like, this is already giving problems with this plot, but they could have picked any other character. It would have made sense. Just not the character that's always grumpy in the first place. That doesn't make any sense at all. So, but then I thought, well, maybe they're trying to do it like he's always a bad person. They're trying to make him more cheery to try to redeem his personality. I can sort of see how that might work. So I'm like, give it a bit of leeway. So then I was just like, this is a part where it goes down the pan really quickly from this point. It's surprising how fast it does. I mean, it is only like 40 minutes or something special. They call it a movie, but it's not really a movie in my opinion, if it's just over half an hour. I wouldn't call that a movie. In order for it to be a movie, it has to be at least over an hour. I would say an hour and a half maybe could count as a movie. Anything under that doesn't really count. It's more like a long special. But anyways, so basically, what's it called? Grandpa Smurf, yeah? Grandpa Smurf is known in the series for making potions. So he decides to make a potion to literally poison the Christmas spirit into Grouchy. And I'm just like, what? Already my mind is blown. I'm like, is this really a good moral for kids? If you're not happy at Christmas, if you don't do what your grandpa wants you to do and all your friends want to do, they'll drug you into doing it. Which brings a really good question. It's like, when you start thinking about the fact that Grandpa Smurf always makes these potions, and he always gives them this like blueberry juice or something, Smurf juice that they're always drinking, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is a bit suspicious. There's some kind of conspiracy going on here. But anyways, yeah, he makes this magical potion that makes this puff of Christmas spirit appear out of a cauldron, and it goes into his drink, and he literally collapses on the floor and wakes up in a dream. And the dream sequence, and most of this special, therefore, with all the spirits and everything according to Christmas Carol, obviously, because it's copying the formula of Christmas Carol. If you don't know the formula of Christmas Carol, then, well, why are you watching this video? Go and watch it. A Christmas Carol, it's really famous. But anyways, but it's it follows that whole template as you'd expect. But it starts off the dream. He wakes up and he's in cartoon, and the whole thing is done in cartoon until he wakes up again. And I'm there thinking, what was the point in you doing it 3D at the beginning, and then just if you were going to do most of it in cartoon? Why didn't you just do it all in cartoon? And the other thing is, if it's in cartoon, and you could have done that in the first place, why didn't you do that for the damn movie? So that's another annoying thing, but, again, let it slide, I guess. So then, obviously the spirit comes along and he says, I am the spirit of Smurf past. I'm going to show you your past. And this is where it gets really twisted. This is where they really try and make it more so appropriate to the Smurfs, and rather than the Christmas Carol, this is where they have to really take liberties and really change the story up, and it goes in a really odd direction that makes absolutely no sense and completely ruins the whole point of the moral. So basically, we find out that Grouchy, or Grumpy, or whatever his name is, we find out that Grouchy always used to be happy on Christmas Day, even though he wasn't all the rest of the days of the year. and he was always dead excited, and he always put the star on top of the Christmas tree. And he, even though mostly he was excited to get his present, he also enjoyed the festivities while he was there. We see that happen. So then he goes over to his seat, and everybody sits down to get one present each from Grandpa Smurf. Apparently that's how it works. Even though one of the Smurfs is always giving out presents with explosives in, you'd think that the one day of the year when that present Smurf could actually utilise his ability properly, he would use it. But no, apparently not. So, yeah, Grandpa Smurf goes around passing a single present to each one of the other Smurfs, because apparently that's how it works. I don't know, because he's the oldest. So does that mean that they're all Grandpa Smurf's children? I don't know, I don't want to think about that. But but basically he gives them all the presents, and it turns out that every single present that he's given them was all a new hat. Every single one of them was a new hat. They all looked identical and were the same as the hat from last year. And everyone else was happy with that except for Grouchy. Grouchy wanted a paraglider instead. A very simple one, but he wanted a paraglider so he could glide a bit and fly. Except instead, despite him asking for it, he got the hat instead. So he was disappointed, but he kept on with it anyway. 10 years go past, and every year he gets disappointed again and again as he keeps on getting the hat instead of the present he asked for. And I'm thinking, well, to be honest, he's pretty reasonable for him to be peed off with the fact that for 10 whole years he'd put up with the fact that he never got anything he wanted. And he just got the same present as everyone else. And then I thought the whole point of Christmas was that you're meant to be nice and you're meant to understand your family and get them something that they might like. I mean, I could understand if they did the story in a way like they tried to give him what he wanted and they weren't able to, or they gave him some kind of toy that replicated the paraglider or something, and he still wasn't happy because it wasn't exactly what he wanted. That would have made sense. But no, they just give him the same hat over and over and over and don't even attempt to get him what he wanted. To be honest, I would be upset if that happened, because I'd be, not because you didn't get what you want, but because your family doesn't give a about the present that you actually wanted on Christmas Day for 10 years. You know, you got to think that that's a bit jerk thing to do. And the thing is, it gets worse than that. On the last year, when he's really losing his patience, because to be honest, he had amazing patience the last 10 years. But in the last year, when he's really losing his patience and getting upset, he gets the hat, his friend, that present one I was talking about, that always has the explosive presents. If you know Smurfs, you'll know what I mean. There's always one that has a present that blows up, and it's a joke that he always does. So he brings over a present that looks like the shape of a paraglider, gets him all excited, and then blows up in his face, and they all laugh at him. It's like, haha, we didn't get you what you wanted again. How isn't this a laugh? No, that's not funny. That's not charming. That's not forgivable. It's just like, what kind of family are you? Imagine if someone actually did that. Imagine if someone, like, I don't know what you would do. Like, imagine if in real life that happened. Someone gave you purposely a crappy present every year, even though you had told them the nicest way possible over like 10 years, losing your patience throughout the years. You said, please get me something I want, or some money or something. And every single time they got you something really crap that you didn't like a toy poop plushie or something, every year. And then the last year they gave you something that looked like a good present and it was another poop present inside. You would be peed off, wouldn't you? You would be really angry. So, to be honest, I'm on his side at this point. You're supposed to think that he's selfish, and he actually mentions, oh God, look how selfish I was. How the hell is that selfish? That makes perfect sense that you would be upset that your family doesn't give a shit about what you want. You know, that's upsetting. That makes perfect sense. So already, this is totally messed up. But it gets even worse. Then he goes into the present, and I'm there thinking, what could you possibly represent in the present? All he was supposed to do was put the star on top of the tree. How could that cause any problems? Well, apparently it caused a lot of problems, because one of the Smurfs, which was clumsy, that usually did the cookies, had decided to put the star on top of the tree, considering Grouchy wasn't going to do it this year. Obviously this would have been prevented if it wasn't the clumsy one that tried to do it, but the clumsy one tried to put the star on top of the tree, and everything went wrong. The tree falls over, everything, all the things fall over. The bloody lights burst, everything gets destroyed, and then the tree falls into the fireplace and sets on fire. And I'm like, what the hell, man? Why the heck did all this happen? And then you're there thinking, surely this would have happened another year? Like, because this clumsy Smurf has always been here, and obviously always helps out with the Christmas. So it's like, didn't he mess up the cookies? I mean, you're giving him the job of using an oven? That's not a good idea for a start. Plus, surely he's tried to do this before, and this has happened before, so surely this isn't something that's so unnecessarily bad or something, but whatever. So that happens, and then they have the guts to say, if Grouchy was here, this wouldn't have happened. It's like, screw you, Grouchy. It's like, what the hell? Grouchy didn't have any influence on this at all. If it was there, it would have probably happened anyway. I mean, there's nothing to do with Grouchy. You can't blame Grouchy for that. So, yeah, I'm like, okay, this is totally unacceptable. And then it goes into the future, and this is the only part which actually makes some sort of sense, even though it's already pretty bad in the first place. But this part makes some sort of sense, because what happens is, in the future, they say that all the other Smurfs really wanted to make him believe in Christmas or something. So they all went away with a plan to do something for him, and they all got captured by Gargamel by doing it. Then he gets chased around by Gargamel and thrown into the pot saying, I can change, I can change. I'm like, that's kind of, I appreciate the way that you've sort of adapted that to Smurf lore. That kind of makes sense. Except the thing which I don't like is the fact that everybody got themselves killed just because he didn't want to celebrate Christmas for like 1 year. It's like, how the heck is that his fault? That's their fault for being thick. It's not his fault at all. I mean, imagine this poor Grouchy now has to think that he has to pretend to like Christmas because all of his friends are such idiots that if they don't think he believes in Christmas, they're all going to go and get themselves killed. Happy Christmas. You know, it's like, I don't understand what's this meant to mean. What kind of moral is this? He's selfish because he didn't do what they wanted, therefore they got themselves injured? I don't understand that. I really don't. It's baffling how terrible this has been skewed, this story. But they do that. And then he says, I can change. He wakes up in 3D and he's all happy and jolly and everything. Oh yeah, we've also missed something. Oh yeah, in the present we find out that Grandpa Smurf has been making all these hats every year as he has done. He's been making the hats very carefully, specific requirements for each Smurf and their tastes. And he's dead sad because he's crafted the hats for Grouchy and he doesn't want it, and he looks dead sad. And then he goes, oh, look how selfish I've been. He's tried so hard to give me this present. And I'm there thinking, no. This is not a proper moral. If someone works really hard for 10 years to on purposely give you the present which you don't want or need, because he keeps on saying, how many hats do you need, he says, at some point. And he says, my hat isn't worn yet. It's like, well, he doesn't need the hat even. It isn't even something he needs rather than what he wants. He doesn't need it or want it. And yet he spends so much effort giving him it anyway. It's like, it's not really Grouchy's fault that he makes so much effort to do something that's pointless. Is it? You know, I find this whole thing so baffling. So then that bit happens, so skip back forward to where I was. He wakes up from the dreams and he goes, I've got my Christmas spirit back, and he fixes the tree and everything while they're all gone at the night, and they all wake up to find him all ready for Christmas. And then he goes up and puts the tree puts the star on top of the tree with the ladder, and then somehow he figures out, I don't know how he figured this out, but somehow he figures out, he goes, wait a minute, if Grandpa Smurf has made each hat individually for what everyone wants, and then he jumps off the ladder and he glides with, because his hat expands, and he glides around and he goes, hooray, it's what I wanted. I'm like, what? So you're telling me that, like, for 10 years, Grandpa Smurf had made the hat like that for 10 years and never told him, or he'd done it in the last year, which is way too late, because it's 10 years, and finally decided to give him something of what he wanted. And 3, you could have made an easier effort if you just made the damn paraglider he wanted in the first place. Because the paraglider only required a few sticks on a cloth. He actually had a toy to prove how easy it was to do. That's literally all he wanted. That would have been easier than making the hat. So I don't understand the point of that. I gave you half of what you wanted after 10 years of totally neglecting you. Yay, I'm loved. No, not really. Also, how the hell did he guess that was what his hat was about? Imagine if he jumped off the ladder and he didn't have a paragliding eye. He goes, hooray, oh no, I didn't, fall to the floor. So, and then he does like some stupid joke at the end that's really, and that's the end. And you're just like, okay, that was the most stupid, twisted, immoral version of A Christmas Carol I have ever seen. And I think it will be, I think this is the worst Christmas special that's based on Christmas Carol I think I will ever see. Ever. 'Cause they messed up the moral so unbelievably bad. It makes no sense. Not only does it make no sense, and it totally ruins and insults the original story, but it also, not only that, but it insults the Smurfs franchise by totally neglecting the whole concept of the Smurfs characters and missing out major points, like I've mentioned. The fact that there was a present Smurf and the fact that Grandpa Smurf is in charge of the other Smurfs is kind of like, you haven't explained a lot of this. Or you haven't utilised something that's in Smurfs that would have been important. So they've taken out things which would have been useful. So they've ruined the Smurfs franchise. They've ruined Christmas Carol. And not only have they done both of those things, they didn't just do it in a sappy way. They actually made the morals not just bland or overly sweet and pointless. They've made the morals actually wrong. They've made the morals bad. They did it so bad, they've reversed it and made the morals negative. They made the morals teach you a bad thing. Obviously that's much worse for kids than a moral that just didn't explain itself correctly. I mean, the moral literally says you can drug your friends. You can drug your friends into liking Christmas. That's perfectly acceptable. You drugging your friend is perfectly acceptable. Second thing is, you're absolutely not allowed to enjoy Christmas every single year. It's compulsory. Number 3, like, it doesn't matter how you are the rest of the year, you just have to be good at Christmas, otherwise everyone will die. Lesson number 3, you will be blamed for everything, even if it's not your fault. Like, number 4, you have to accept any present you get, even if it's a horrible present, and it's not a good, caring present at all, and everyone treats you like a jerk. You have to grin it and bear it because it's Christmas. That's the moral. And you're like, I can't see it any other way. Those are the morals of that cartoon. And I'm like, what kind of morals is that? Who wrote this? So, yeah. That's it, I guess. Thank you for listening. Tell me what you think, because you can actually probably find it on YouTube or somewhere. I mean, I would pay for that crap, so go and find it if you can, and have a quick look. It's only like 20, 30, 40 minutes maximum. I think it's about 40 minutes. No, actually, I think it's 20 minutes. Well, it's about 20 minutes. Yeah, and that's it, so thank you for watching. This is What is Awesome, and I'll see you again next time for another video. See ya!